Jake Collier versus Chris Barnett. This was an awesome fight. This was awesome. These guys came out right away, started throwing bombs. Jake was kicking his ass, I thought. Not only getting the better of the exchanges, but, starting to wear on Chris Barnett. And I got this one totally wrong. I assessed Chris Barnett before the fight as a guy who gets finished. And I even alluded to his technical decision loss to Martin Boudet after he was fouled. And I kind of dismissed it, halfway dismissed it. It's like, yeah, the guy looked for a way out or whatever. And this was total redemption for that. Not that he needed it because, you err on the side of the fighter and assume he's always really hurt and whatever, because, whatever. But, because it's the right thing to do, I guess, whatever. I don't know what he's feeling and whatever. But in this one, you could see he was, feeling like shit. He was compromised. His lip, they kept pointing out, I think he might have a broken jaw because, he keeps moving his lips like this, and his face, he was cut and smashed and obviously hurt, and I thought overwhelmed by a guy who, despite his size, Jake Collier, he's a middleweight and he fights well. He fights well for 15 minutes. We've seen him go hard for 15 minutes, and I had it in my head going into the fight, he's going to outlast Chris Barnett and get a finish in round 2 or 3. That's what I had in my head. Chris Barnett, especially once he was down and out and beaten and having a doctor in his face, I was so sure Jake was going to win. So anyway, Chris has that moment of redemption where he says, yeah, I can fight. Sure, I can look for a way out right now, and I got this going on my lip and or my jaw, whatever the hell was going on. He was beaten to shreds. And he bit down on his mouthpiece and said, yeah, let's do this. And then he comes out and I think it was within like 30 seconds, turned the fight around. I thought he turned the fight around as soon as he landed that second round combination early in the round. And Jake was hurt. Jake became panicky. And started making a lot of big mistakes, grabbing, reaching, sloppy takedowns, and Chris Barnett made him pay. And when Chris got on top of him, that was it. Chris Barnett is a fucking bowling ball, or like a beach ball with the density of a bowling ball. And he was sitting on top of his chest, actually with his legs out, like he's taking a shit or something. I don't know. But one of his legs out and, punching down. It was a very fat guy scene. But awesome victory for Chris Barnett. Showed tremendous heart, tremendous grit, and got redemption, I thought, for anybody who was questioning him in his last fight, questioning his heart and whatever, which I was. And also, a lot of his losses, the last, 6 losses of his or whatever, all finishes, aside from the Boudet fight. So, there was room to question his heart in one way or another, and definitely his cardio. And his cardio won him this fight and his heart. So it was just a tremendous victory. And that guy, afterwards, it's just he's pouring his fucking id out. It's just everything. Yeah, I love you and Dana White and everything. He's on ecstasy, which, whatever. It's awesome. He's one of those guys who wears his heart on his sleeve like Pat Barry. But, and he does a flip on his ass like fucking Winnie the Pooh. The original one, not the new fucking mass murderer, if you've seen that trailer. But anyway, great win for Chris Barnett. He's a guy who, again, I talk about ceilings and whatever. His ceiling isn't the championship or anywhere close, but he's a guy who belongs on the roster. He's a, whatever, if you want to call him a gimmick fighter or whatever, this and that, but he's got a fan base. I don't know anybody's fucking Instagram followers or whatever the fuck, or YouTube subscribers. Please, by the way, like, share, and subscribe. But Chris Barnett is he's a good sideshow, and I say that with utter respect. He's a great sideshow guy. We need all kinds of fighters on the UFC roster. Chris Barnett brings enough wild shit. And he's a guy that, with his 2 wins alone inside the UFC, he's convinced a lot of people to get excited when they see his name on a card. You're not going to see it at the top of a card anywhere, but it's awesome having a guy like that in a fight, 3rd or 4th from the bottom. So great win for Chris Barnett. Tough loss for Jake Collier. I mean, especially the way he lost. He's a guy who I expected to win. And again, I expected it to go the opposite way. Maybe not where he lost the first round. I expected Jake to win the first round, win the second by a bigger margin, finish him in the third, or something like that. And his cardio and maybe his chin in one way or another failed him here. Because like I said, he got tagged and then he started making all these sloppy mistakes. And he was feeling good too. Imagine how he felt after 5 minutes sitting there standing, jumping around, watching your opponent who you just beat the shit out of. And it might occur to you that he's a quitter or whatever. And watching a doctor in his face thinking, all right, 50% chance the doctor stops this. There's another 10% chance the guy quits or whatever. And if not, there's a 100% chance I beat the shit out of him in round 2. And then boom, it was the exact opposite type of fight. So he seemed overwhelmed, really, I think would be the best word, and started making sloppy mistakes and then paid for them shortly thereafter. I love saying that, shortly thereafter. Whatever. That's the height of my vocabulary. But Chris Barnett, fucking awesome seeing that guy win. You know, his UFC career is prolonged by whatever, years and fights in this one. Multiple fights and hopefully multiple years. I think he's 2-2 now. And, yeah, can't wait to see him fight next. You know, there's got to be a fun matchup for that guy. That guy, you know, I'm sure if you ask him, he's geared toward a title shot or whatever. But I want to see that guy in fun matchups. All right, that about wraps it up for this one. I'll be back in about 25 seconds to talk to you guys about Norma Dumont versus Danielle Wolf. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, all that horse shit. And I'll see you guys in 25.